The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, condemned the attempted attacks by the Venezuelan extremist right wing in complicity with imperialism against diplomatic headquarters in Venezuela. In support of the popular consultation, the people of Colombia is taking a 48-hour national strike. And in Palestine, Gaza faces critical shortages of basic supplies caused by Israel as part of Tel Aviv's genocidal actions in the territory. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, condemned the attempted attacks by the Venezuelan extreme right wing in complicity with imperialism against diplomatic headquarters in the country. During the inauguration of the tourist route La Lucha of the communal government of Miranda, the president denounced the aggression plans against embassies in Venezuela and candidates to the regional and legislative elections for the Great Patriotic Poll in an attempt to incite violence during the May 25th elections. In this sense, the head of state highlighted that more than 70 plotters have been captured with evidence of their participation in threats against the country.
Today, Diosdado Cabello gave a press conference at noon. If you have not seen it, look for it. It is on YouTube. Diosdado showed 10% of the evidence we have. He showed in the handwriting of this gentleman, Juan Paulo Guanipa, how he was planning the physical elimination of the leaders of all the parties of the Great Patriotic Poll, how they were planning the attack to several embassies, among them the Embassy of the United Nations and the residents of the Embassy of Colombia, how they were planning attacks to opposition leaders who had registered for the elections on Sunday.
The president of Venezuela, Nicolás Maduro, stated that the security forces of the Venezuelan state neutralized attacks against the refineries and facilities in the country planned by the country's fascist extreme right wing.
We were able to neutralize in different ways 60 attacks against the country's refineries and oil facilities. It was the devil unleashed, but thanks to the strategic, police, popular and military intelligence, and the joint action of the police forces, the Bolivarian National Police, the General Directorate of Military Counterintelligence, the Bolivarian National Intelligence Service, and the Bolivarian National Armed Forces, as a whole, we managed to capture more than 70 plotters with their leaders, their plans and the complete evidence, and we managed to take away the grenades, explosives. We captured people on the border, here and there, and the search process for these terrorists is still in full swing. These people are not politicians, no, because the one who is thinking of killing with an attack, or a leader, or any person, is not a politician, but a criminal, a terrorist.
On Wednesday, the government of Venezuela updated on the operation that dismantled the plan by far-right sectors of the opposition to boycott the regional and legislative elections of past Sunday, May 25th. During a press conference, the Venezuelan Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace, Diosdado Cabello, stressed that the peaceful development of Sunday's polls was not by chance, as the Bolivarian government had ensured the calm by neutralizing several attempts planned by the extreme right-wing opposition. In this regard, Cabello unfolded that nearly 60 attacks on oil facilities were halted in the last 10 days, adding they also found and seized evidence of planned attacks on embassies and key institutions. In this context, the authority thanked the state security agencies and the officials who participated in the neutralization of these terrorist activities. recognizing the electoral process.
Para nosotros haber terminado la jornada.
For us, to have ended the day of May 25th in peace, in tranquility,
La jornada del 25 de mayo en paz, en tranquilidad.
with no acts of violence, with no negative events of any kind generated by terrorist sectors of the Venezuelan opposition. In truth, it is not a fortuitous event. It was a coordinated action of the different state security agencies. Our Bolivarian armed forces, who we must acknowledge, have once again guaranteed the peace of Venezuelan men and women.
Han garantizado nuevamente la paz de los venezolanos.
The sectorial vice president for politics, citizen security and peace, Diosdado Cabello, stated that the Venezuelan extreme right wing will not rest in continuing to exercise violence.
This does not mean, as we have been saying for quite some time, that the opposition is going to stop generating violence in Venezuela. No, that is their nature. The electoral results offered by the National Electoral Council, unobjectionable, do not give them much to do. They know that through the electoral route they do not have it easy. That is why they have sought the shortcut to violence. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, they have always done it.
In other news, the electoral campaign for judges, magistrates and ministers of the judiciary in Mexico ends to make way for the judicial elections next June 1st. The National Electoral Institute has described this election as historic, as it will be the first time that citizens will elect their judges directly. In the run-up to the election, the electoral authority urged the population to reflect on the importance of their vote. President Claudia Sheinbaum emphasized that the objective of the judicial elections is to promote social equality and eliminate corruption within the justice system. The Mexican president has declared that she will vote as soon as the polling centers open. In support of the popular consultation promoted by the government of Gustavo Petro, social sectors and political groups in Colombia are going on a 48-hour national strike. The Unitary Workers Union has called for informative popular assemblies to be held in several municipalities starting at 8 a.m. local time. The union intends to promote the social reforms proposed by President Petro, raise awareness of the demands of the education and labor sectors. Colombia is currently engaged in a social debate on health system reforms and new projects due to resistance from sectors that have managed Colombian finances for decades. A train accident in the Cuban province of Camagüey left at least 18 people injured. According to the authorities' report, the accident occurred after a train derailed and overturned on the Holguín-La Habana road, which caused damage to the railroad tracks. The injured were taken to the nearest health centers, and it was reported that none of them had serious injuries. In this sense, the authorities began work to reestablish the train service and to find the causes of the incident.
There are approximately 80 meters of damage on the railway. That is why we say that preliminary work will begin immediately to start removing the still damaged wagons from the railway and then the truck in order to reinstate the railway as soon as possible.
And now we have a short break coming up. But first, remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In Palestine, Gaza faces critical shortages of basic supplies caused by Israel as part of Tel Aviv's genocidal actions in the territory. The Zionist regime of Israel, in complicity with the United States, intends to take control of the Gaza aid centers by militarizing these agencies in flagrant violation of international law on Palestinian territorial sovereignty. In addition, the Zionist regime of Israel is carrying out an illegal blockade imposed on the coastal enclave as part of its colonialist policies in the region.
They humiliated us. Today we have nothing to eat. There is no flour, no food, no water to drink. We lack everything. There is nothing. Open any road to dignity for us. Enough. We are dying of exhaustion. Our children are hungry today. We go to bed hungry. We wake up hungry. Only God knows what is happening to us. Everything that is happening has political objectives, and we have nothing to do with them. What we are living today is real hunger. Only God knows what is happening to us. Everything that is happening has political objectives, and we have nothing to do with them. What we are living today is a real famine. If you ask me to risk my life to get food for my children, I will risk my life and go.
They said there was help, so I came, but I only got a small amount for my children. What we do is divide our food and put some aside for breakfast. If I have any food left over, I add water to it to eat the next day. I don't waste anything, no matter how little.
In Israel, many people demonstrated in Tel Aviv in rejection of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's policies and to demand agreements to allow the return of their relatives. The demonstrators demanded the reaching of agreements with Palestine that would guarantee the return of their relatives. They also made statements in rejection of the extremist actions of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It is worth mentioning that the Zionist regime of Israel keeps more than 10,000 Palestinians in prisons suffering torture, hunger, and lack of medical attention after kidnapping them from their homes. Yemen, authorities denounced a new attack by the Israeli army on the country's main airport. Yemeni authorities reported that Israel forces also attacked and destroyed the last plane of the Yemeni Airways fleet operating at Sana'a International Airport. Moreover, they confirmed that two important ports of the country, Al Salif and Al Hudaydah, located on the Red Sea, were attacked as well. On Wednesday, 4 children were injured after an abandoned mine exploded north of Damascus, Syria. Government authorities indicated that the device exploded in a residential area located in the province of Hama. After the explosion, the miners were transferred to the hospital to receive the necessary treatment and care. The Syrian Civil Defense warned that dozens of mines and ammunition continue to threaten the lives of the population. In early May, similar explosions occurred in the northern province of Idlib, where several children were killed and injured. Tensions in the Middle East rise after U.S. President Donald Trump seeks agreements with the Iranian government, while Israel raises possible strikes against Iranian nuclear targets. After the fifth round of negotiations between Washington and Tehran, delegations in Oman, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has threatened to launch military strikes against Iranian facilities if they reach an agreement. Meanwhile, Trump has reiterated that he will use all diplomatic options before initiating a military escalation, and that any future negotiations must respect the interests of both nations. However, the dialogue has been paused following indications that Washington is preventing Tehran from further enriching its uranium. In Spain, at least 7 people died after a boat capsized in the port La Restinga in El Hierro, the farthest south of the Canary Island. The embarkation, which had about 150 people on board, capsized when it was approaching the dock to disembark its occupants, as confirmed by sources of maritime rescue. In the aftermath, the emergency services informed on the passing of at least 7 people, 4 adult women and 3 minors, while 2 adults remain in serious condition. In this context, the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez expressed through his social networks his solidarity with the victims, calling to rise to the occasion as a tragedy is a matter of humanity. The incident follows the shipwreck at the same location of a boat carrying at least 84 people on February 2025. We have a second show break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Fana show break, we'll be right back. Welcome back to From the South. Russian President Vladimir Putin meets with his Yemeni counterpart Rassad al-Alimi for bilateral talks at the Kremlin. In the context of the talks between Moscow and Sana'a, the Russian leader stated that relations between the two countries are long-standing and have always been friendly, with both countries interacting on the international stage. Putin highlighted that diplomatic relations with Yemen were established in 1928 and that the embassy is now resuming its work in its country. The Yemeni leader reaffirmed his commitment to developing the cooperation that has existed for almost a century and recalled the significant progress achieved in the development of relations between the two nations in recent years. The 13th international meeting of high-ranking officials responsible for security matters is being held in Russia on Wednesday, with the participation of more than 125 delegations from 104 countries. During his welcoming address at the gathering, which will continue until May 29th, President Vladimir Putin stated that during the next few days, participants will be involved in an important discussion which will be devoted to the prospects for the creation of the new global security architecture. Likewise, Putin stressed that all states should receive firm guarantees of their own security, but not at the expense of the security and interest of other countries. The Russian military has shot down almost 300 Ukrainian drones across several provinces in the country. The Russian Ministry of Defense reported that the downing of Ukrainian drones in 13 provinces had damaged residential buildings and temporarily suspended flights at airports. It also denounced the recent escalation of actions by Ukrainian forces against Russian facilities. Against this backdrop, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov warned that those responsible for attacks on Russian soil must be held accountable. At a symposium in Cape Town on Tuesday, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa denied allegations of white genocide in the nation, a conspiracy theory raised by President Donald Trump. During the meeting in the Oval Office, Trump accused South Africa of white genocide and of carrying out unjust land confiscations. He presented a video and a series of newspapers articles that he claimed proved his accusations. President Ramaphosa rejected these accusations, refuting the idea that South Africans flee their country due to racist political issues. After recounting the incident that the American media described as an ambush, Ramaphosa announced that the United States would be participating in the G20 summit in Johannesburg in November. The government of China urged the United States to respect and safeguard the legitimate rights of all international students, including those of Chinese nationality. The Chinese Foreign Ministry emphasized that educational cooperation and normal academic exchanges should not be interrupted by unilateral or political measures. The statements were made by the agency following the news that Washington had ordered its embassies and consulates around the world to suspend granting student visas. The restrictions on students' entry would also add to a list of ongoing tensions that already include surveillance of researchers, sanctions on Chinese universities, and barriers to scientific cooperation. While the United States government is maintaining global tariffs impositions, China is forging ahead with its trade cooperation with European Union nations. According to local media reports, China's investment in the European Union increased by 47% in 2024, reaching approximately 10 million euros. Funding for new projects increased for the third consecutive year, with areas of focus including green energy cooperation, digital infrastructure, and smart manufacturing. Experts estimate that the Asian giant's investment in Europe would increase significantly in 2025 as bilateral ties may improve amid the substantial U.S. trade war. And like this, we have come to the end of this year's brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.